China.
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 China. China.
The rapidly growing edtech industry offers education services using technology, and it has completely revolutionized teaching and learning. People across the world have access to a wide variety of learning resources and are able to take advantage of personalized, tailor-made learning systems. The COVID-19 pandemic has certainly facilitated this growth in the edtech sector. In March 2020 itself, there was a 90% surge in education app downloads worldwide, especially among the Gen Z. This sector has received billions of dollars in investments, and it is expected to grow to $8 trillion by 2025. Several edtech companies such as Byju's, Unacademy, Tal Education, and Gaotu Edtech have experienced significant growth over the last few years. This tutoring industry is expected to be worth $350 billion by 2025. Recently, you may have noticed the news rife with China's crackdown on edtech companies.
Earlier, but you got to keep your eyes on what's happening here because Chinese media reporting a crackdown on education technology by the Chinese government.
It makes you wonder why the Chinese government wiped the profits from such a thriving industry. In this video, we are going to take a look at this crackdown and delve into its wider implications on the online tutoring industry in China. So stay tuned for a deeper insight into this crackdown. So what is this crackdown and what does it entail?
What the fuck do you want? What is it?
Well, a leaked memo, date 19th July 2021, postulated that the Chinese government would ban online tutors from making a profit, and as a result, off-campus tutors and edtech firms would have to register for a non-profit status. Moreover, edtech firms would not be able to raise capital or go public. China has one of the biggest edtech sectors in the world.
So big.
No.
And it has received more funds than all other countries combined. In 2020 itself, the online tutoring industry in China garnered 103 billion yuan in investments. Over the last few years, several Chinese edtech companies have emerged and have made a mark in the industry. These companies have experienced rapid growth as they facilitate students in acing entrance tests for top-ranked schools and colleges in China. In 2002, a Peking University student in China, Zhang Banyuing, decided to tutor students so as to earn some extra cash. He offered high-quality services to his students, and his 2Ds kept on increasing thereafter. He took advantage of the flourishing tutoring market and eventually registered an after-school tutoring company and hired the best teachers. This company is now known as Tal Education.
Tal Education Group is committed to promoting ICT for education and creating a better learning experience for children. From a single product to diversified educational products and services. From 0 to 400 physical education centers.
His value-driven business model led to success. In 2010, Tal became the first US-listed tutoring service from China. And in 2013, Tal solely focused on advancing tutoring services through technology globally, and the rest is history. As of 2021, Tal is among the top 3 online tutoring companies in China, and it has a whopping $3.85 billion market cap. After the crackdown, Zhang Banyuing's net worth decreased by $2.5 billion, and the company's shares plunged by 71% in New York. Another Chinese edtech firm, Gaotu Edtech, with a market cap of $815 million, was also severely impacted by the crackdown. The US-listed firm experienced a decline in market value from $38 billion to $780 million. And its CEO, Larry Chen, who is worth $336 million, faced an enormous decline in his net worth. New Oriental Education, which is also listed on the New York Stock Exchange, shed nearly 60% of its market value. Nearly $16 billion was wiped from the value of these 3 major education companies listed on the New York Stock Exchange. This crackdown has also quashed any hopes for firms such as Yuan Fudao and Yuo Yibang to go public in the US or Hong Kong, thus creating a credit crunch for the sector. This move by the Chinese government has not only threatened the future of the $100 billion tutoring industry, but has also hit foreign investors. For instance, Bill Huang's Archegos Capital Management owned a highly leveraged position in Gaotu, and when its stock collapsed, Huang offloaded a large portion of his shares in Gaotu, causing the edtech company's stock to plummet by 56% in only one day. The Chinese private tutoring sector can bid farewell to any potential investments from groups such as BlackRock, Sequoia, SoftBank, Baillie Gifford, and Tencent. Goldman Sachs has forecasted that this crackdown would lead China's tutoring sector to collapse by 76%. The Nasdaq Golden Dragon China Index, which tracks mid- and large-cap Chinese stocks, dropped by nearly 20% over 3 days. Now the question arises that why would China take such a huge step and jeopardize the earning potential for such a booming sector? The Chinese government has stated that after-school online tutoring has enhanced the workload of students and that it acts as a financial burden on the parents. They are also concerned about the education disparity created by the recent splurge on after-school private tutoring. Moreover, this sector is believed to have adversely impacted the birth rate in China by increasing the cost of raising children. The crackdown is expected to reduce household expenditure on private tutoring. Another underlying motive for this overhaul is to prevent foreigners, especially Americans, from tutoring Chinese students. This has imperiled the business of companies such as VipKid that employs US-based tutors. This may not come as a surprise considering China's authoritarian model of governance and its constant need for taking control. We have seen such bold moves in the past from the Chinese government, some of them being bans on Google, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and WhatsApp. Phew! China has recently attracted a lot of foreign investments as a result of renminbi assets being added to global stock and bond indices and its ability to bounce back from the damage caused by the pandemic. However, China has been very unpredictable with its policies. You may have heard that the sudden suspension of the Ant Financial IPO before it would have become the world's largest IPO. There was an unexpected tightening of vaping rules in China that led to a decline in the stock of the US-listed e-cigarette company RLX Technology. Furthermore, China's cybersecurity regulator pulled Didi Chuxing from app stores soon after it became one of the largest Chinese companies to be listed in the US. China's tightening of rules on US-led Chinese companies has led such companies to reconsider US listings. And now, a crackdown on the edtech sector. Well, this has certainly made investors wary of China's unpredictable policies, and this could endanger potential investments in the tech sector. Numerous Chinese companies have raised funds abroad through variable interest entities, which are essentially special-purpose vehicles designed to passively own financial assets. This technique of raising capital may be disallowed in the foreseeable future. Now that we have taken a look at the financial implications of this crackdown, let's take a look at the impact on the tutoring staff. As you can imagine, there will be a massive number of layoffs. Moreover, the edtech companies would have to remodel their businesses as a non-profit entity and redirect their resources to non-core segments. These non-core segments may not turn out to be as profitable. Will this lack of profits and the looming threat of being laid off have an adverse impact on the service quality? Well, that is a very big factor to consider. Such problems may demotivate the teaching staff, and this could potentially harm the quality of education provided by the private tutoring industry. Considering the fact that most Chinese edtech firms take pride in the quality of their services, this issue must be addressed. This crackdown in China will impact the livelihood of several tutors, and they may start looking for job opportunities outside the private tutoring industry. Countries like Switzerland and Luxembourg believe in paying educators handsomely, but it seems like China does not care about the impact of the crackdown on its educators. The crackdown will eventually come back to haunt the government as it has the potential to adversely impact Chinese students. Students require tailor-made services from their tutors according to their learning abilities. The private tutoring sector has designed courses to adapt to different learning abilities, and interference from the Chinese government will certainly act as an obstacle. Students will lose out on quality education, and firms will lose out on profits. This move by Beijing may seem harsh, but the government believes that it has the potential to resolve several social issues prevalent in the Chinese society. The government plans on setting guidance prices for the private tutoring courses so as to uphold the non-profit nature of these organizations. However, We will have to wait for the long-term impact of this crackdown to assess its viability. But as of now, it does seem like Beijing has demolished the edtech industry in China. What are your views on China's crackdown on edtech companies? Let us know in the comment section below. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more interesting content. Hit that bell icon to stay